Welcome again to Garden-Wise Adventures, and today we are at the Jordan River Conservation Garden Park, and we're with Karen Eaton. And we're going to talk a little bit about what the Conservation Garden Park is about and a little bit about a design concept that they have called Localscapes. And we've talked a lot about water and soil, and now we're going to bring those together and talk about how they work in Utah and what is important about your water use in the landscape in Utah. So Karen, what is the Conservation Garden Park about?
Well, we are a demonstration garden to teach people about how to landscape in their yards in a water-wise way.
This design concept that I've heard that you guys are kind of promoting called Localscapes. What is Localscapes?
Localscapes is landscaping for Utah's climate, and it's an easy to understand concept where we can teach people how to make it simple, how to make their yards be water-wise, but still in a beautiful way, and it doesn't need to be rocks and cactus.
So no xeriscape?
It can be xeriscape, but it doesn't have to be.
Perfect, I love that because a lot of people get turned off at the concept of just rocks and cactus, but you can have a beautiful landscape and still conserve water.
Yes, for sure.
So what is Localscape and how does it work? I heard there's like steps.
Right. So there's 5 steps to localscaping. We have the central open shape, which helps to organize the landscape. And a lot of times the central open shape can be made of lawn, or it can be lawnless and be gravel, or it could be thyme or some kind of ground cover that's water-wise. Then we have the gathering areas. The gathering areas are areas that are used for social interaction. So seating areas, places where we might eat. We also have activity zones. So that's areas that are used for activities such as gardening, playing, like playground areas. And then we have pathways. So
So the pathways are part of the design.
Right, so we want to have pathways to connect all these places together because we don't want to use our central shape as our pathway. And then planting beds are what's left over.
Now, do you have any examples of this? Because I know a lot of people, unless they see what it looks like, they don't really understand.
Yes, we have a new exhibit that demonstrates each of these concepts.
Right now we're in front of this new exhibit that you were talking about. So what is the building?
What is the building?
Yeah, what is the building for?
It just represents a house, an average-sized home on a quarter-acre lot, so that people can visualize, what it might really look in a full-size yard.
Oh, so perfect. So this is just an example of what your yard could look like.
Yes.
Just depending on your taste.
Yes.
Okay, so let's go through each of the concepts that you were talking about.
Okay. So right here we have the front yard central open shape, and it is made of lawn, which is very common. And one of the requirements for a lawn central open shape is that it can't take up more than 35% of this front yard.
So you have a good size, but you're controlling the most water-hungry part of and the most maintenance requiring part of the landscape.
Yes, for sure. And one of the things to remember about a central open shape with lawn is that we want it to be easy to irrigate with the sprinkler system. And so the shapes that we choose, we want them to be efficient with watering. A square and rectangles are the most efficient to water. Round and oval work also, but we don't want any tight curves or small
Thank
areas.
you for saying that. As a landscape maintenance person, those were the most difficult areas. I was always getting clients complaining that they were brown because they weren't getting enough water, or we'd have to charge more because there was more edging. I love this idea.
Exactly, and if we don't have those tight little areas, then we don't get a lot of overspray onto the beds, so then we would have less weeds. So it all makes sense.
Okay, now I love that you said that. Since we're actually in the front and you talked about less weeds, we see the flower beds here. How does that control weeds?
How does it control weeds to not have water spraying on the beds?
Yeah, I guess that's a dumb question, isn't it?
Okay, well, the weed seeds, they fall on the surface, right? And so when water is sprayed on the surface, then you end up with those weeds sprouting. And with a drip system, the water is delivered underneath that mulch and right to the surface of the soil, but it actually spreads out as it goes down into the soil and not so much on the top. And so the weed seeds that are on the top won't sprout as often.
So this basically sounds like the best practices for landscapes. Mulch it, don't water where you don't need to keep the weeds down, and actually the mulch is just gorgeous.
Yeah. And with a 3 to 4 inch layer of mulch, we can usually prevent a lot of weeds.
So you're not only conserving water, you're conserving energy.
Yes.
Yes, I love it. Okay, so what is the next element that we have out here? One of the elements you talked about are pathways, and I noticed you have 2 pathways out front.
Yes. Pathways are very helpful to be able to get from one place in the landscape to another place, and we don't have to walk on lawn to get there, so they can always look nice. We have pathways that are permanent or year-round type pathways with a solid surface so that they can be shoveled in the winter and used in the winter safely. And then we have ones that are seasonal.
So you have the primary that can be shoveled, and then you have the secondary
paths that you wouldn't necessarily shovel in the winter.
But they're not grass.
They're not grass.
You don't have to mow them, edge them, water them, fertilize them.
Exactly.
Kill the grubs. Yeah, I'm loving this already.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, let's continue.
Okay, so let's follow the path to the backyard.
So now we're in the backyard of this hypothetical house that has the gorgeous landscape.
So this is our main gathering area just off the back of the house. And it has a nice large patio that's kind of partially covered. We also have another gathering area.
I love how you've broken up the sidewalk here.
Yes, it's interesting, isn't it? So this bench area is another gathering area. It's smaller, but nice for a little informal setting.
Oh,
Okay.
and then you've got your garden beds.
Yeah, so a garden bed is an activity zone, and activity zones oftentimes are not watered, but in this case with a vegetable garden, then it is watered, but we use a drip irrigation system in order to water it. But notice on the ground, we've got a ground surface that's easy to walk around, but we're not watering the ground surface around it.
I love that. So you don't have to have elaborate planting beds around your gardens, and they can actually, they do take a little bit more water than the typical landscape, but it's a small area.
Yes, it is a small area, and vegetable garden boxes are really easy to care for. They rarely have weeds because
Right.
You're usually planting densely, and so you don't have enough room really for the weeds to grow.
Yeah.
And they're easy to reach. They're up higher, they're easy to reach in, easy to care for. So it's a great way to go. Okay, we have another activity zone.
Yeah. Here we have a big blank area. What is this?
Yeah, so this is an activity zone, but it's not completed. This will have a playground in it eventually. This could be transitioned into a future activity. So right now it can have a playground, but maybe in 10 years when the kids grow up, we might make it into a fire pit.
I love that.
We don't have to move any irrigation to do that.
No,
We just move the playground and create something else.
I love that. So you're thinking, future, past, this, yeah. I love all the design concepts that go into Localscape. So it's not only good for water conservation, which is its main thing, it's actually excellent design concepts.
Yes, they're very functional and flexible.
Okay, so we talked about around the house, and where are we now here?
We are in our park strip exhibit. We like to talk to people about park strips because park strips can waste up to about 11,000 gallons of water per year.
That's
for the
huge
average
amount of
park
water.
strip. Yeah, it is.
What can you do with the park strips?
Well, we have a program called Flip Your Strip, and if people are in our service area, then they can apply for Flip Your Strip, although they can still flip their strip even if they don't live in our service area. We just give a rebate for those that do.
Oh, wow.
And what we require is that people remove the lawn in the park strip, install a drip system with a pressure reducer and a filter, add in water-wise plants that will take up 60% of the space when they're at full maturity, and 3 to 4 inches of mulch.
That's perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think I'll get behind the camera again, but it looks like we're standing in front of one of your favorite park strips. Let's look at that and see what a park strip can look like without lawn.
Okay.
This one was your favorite one. Why is this one your favorite one?
I love the colors in this one. I love the colors in the mulch, and I love that these sages and caryopteris are blooming so well with the pink and the purple, and then the variegated yucca. It just looks great. It looks happy.
Yeah, and I noticed there's even trees. So you can have trees and plants. What is the maintenance like on this?
Well, a lot of people are afraid. They think, oh, it's going to be hard. I'm going to just have to pull weeds all the time. But again, when we're using a drip system, the water isn't covering the whole surface of the soil. It's going to go down and be below surface, so the weeds aren't going to sprout as often as they would in a system that's being sprinkled. And then with the 3 to 4 inches of mulch, then that just really keeps the weeds down. So in this case, we've used a rock mulch, but it could be a bark mulch or a compost mulch or a gravel mulch or even rubber mulch. Just depending on what you like and what's best for your area, I guess. Yes, exactly.
Yeah. So what are your recommendations on flipping the strip? Should that be like something you do last? When would you do that?
Well, we recommend that it's a really great first project. If you want to make your yard more water-wise, park strip is a really good place to start, because most people are frustrated with their park strip because it's so hard to keep lawn alive.
Yes.
And it's so hard to water it without watering the street and the sidewalk. So it's a really good place to start, and it's not the largest part of your yard, so you can get started, you can get experience with removing lawn, with installing a drip system, with designing how you want your beds to look, and with putting in mulch. So it gives you a little bit of everything that you might do if you're going to do your whole landscape.
Well, I absolutely love it. This is gorgeous. And maybe a little bit later I'll just give a quick view of all the different ways it can look. Well, thank you. I said the name wrong in the beginning. What is the name of this location?
Okay, this is the Conservation Garden Park. We are owned by the Jordan Valley Water Conservancy District, and we are located in West Jordan, Utah.
Yep. And then can anybody just stop by, or how does this work?
Yes, anybody can stop by. We have no admission. Right now in the fall, we are open from 8 in the morning till 6:30 at night, Monday through Saturday. Those hours do change once October comes to an end, but we are open year-round.
Perfect. And then if people want to learn more about the Localscapes or flipping your strip, what can they do?
They can go to utahwatersavers.com and find out if they qualify to participate in any of our programs. They can also go to the conservationgardenpark.org website and check out all the classes that we have available.
Oh,
because
neat.
those are open for anybody to take, whether you live in our service area or not.
And I love it. So they can come in here to go to classes, and I think I heard something about online classes. Is that true?
Yes, right now we have the Introduction to Localscapes online, and soon we'll be adding others online.
Well, I am really excited. So thank you so much she actually did this on the spur of the moment. I am so grateful. And anyway, I would love to hear if any of you have flipped your strip. I think I have a couple of people who I'm going to focus on and show their strips that I know who have flipped them. And, go ahead and take a class and let me know how it goes. And go have a wonderful garden adventure.